everyone, I'm Liz Burrell and welcome to the Big Green Egg Grilling Show. Each week we bring you something new in the world of grilling, roasting, smoking, baking, along with tips, tricks, and of course, great cooking segments. During each show, we'll teach you how to season and flavor your cooks, introduce you to new Big Green Egg accessories and how best to use them, and we'll answer questions sent to us by our fans from various social media channels, including questions sent to mailbag@biggreenegg.com. Thanks for tuning in. Now let's get to our mailbag questions for today. So our first question is Milo from Huntsville. What internal temperature should my brisket be at when I pull it off the egg? How long do I let it rest? Great question. And brisket can be very, very difficult for beginners. So I would get comfortable on my egg before you try to do a brisket or a pork butt. That's just my personal advice. Get comfortable first. So with your brisket, you really want to make sure that it hits an internal temperature of anywhere between 195 to 205 degrees internal temperature. Now, this could take anywhere from 8 hours to 18 hours. I've had both happen. The reason why you want to get it to that internal temperature is so that the fat breaks down and kind of goes into all of the meat, and then you get this pull apart, fall apart, delicious brisket. Now, if it does stall at 165 degrees, which is very, very, very common, you can wrap it with aluminum foil or butcher's paper. Now, you want to make sure that this is as tight as it possibly can be so that you preserve your bark, and this is going to help speed up your cooking process. Once you pull it off the egg, you want to leave it in that butcher's paper or your aluminum foil. Put it in a cooler with a bunch of towels and let it rest for 2 to 3 hours. Now, if you're in a rush to eat it, let it rest for at least an hour and then you can start cutting into it. You need to make sure that the brisket kind of sucks up all of those juices and that when you cut into it, all of the flavor, which is the juice, doesn't run out onto your cutting board. So let's get to our second question. It's Mark from Denver. Have you ever fried anything on the egg? Is it possible? Good question. It is possible, but we do not recommend frying on the egg. I have done it in a Big Green Egg enameled Dutch oven at a very, very shallow amount of oil, but it's not really the safest thing when you're dealing with oil and the fire. Now, if you want to shallow fry something like in a small amount of oil, a little, flash fried chicken or whatever you want to do, that's fine. Just make sure that you are adhering to your safety precautions and being very, very, very careful with the oil around your egg. So that's it for our mailbag questions today. Let's get on to our recipe. So today's recipe is a smoked tomato, garlic, and basil pasta. And you may think, why would I ever make pasta on the egg? Well, because you can smoke your tomatoes. Why wouldn't you want to try that? So we're going to be using our Big Green Egg Dutch oven, the cast iron Dutch oven for this today. Our egg setup is right now 300 degrees with our cherry smoking chips, indirect. We're using our expander basket and our 2 half moon baking stones as our convector today. And our recipe is as follows: 1 pound of cooked noodles, a tablespoon of reserved pasta water, 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 2 large beefsteak tomatoes. Today I'm actually going to be using 3 because I could not find 2 very large ones, 12 leaves of fresh basil chopped, 1 clove of elephant garlic cut into pieces, or you can use 3 cloves of garlic, 2 cloves of garlic, whatever you want, and 1 teaspoon of crushed red pepper. Then we're going to be using another ½ cup of extra virgin olive oil, salt to taste, a teaspoon of black pepper, and fresh Parmesan cheese for sprinkling. So let's go ahead and get started with our tomatoes we're going to be smoking. Like I said, our cherry chips are already in our egg. So we're going to take our 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, pour it down in the bottom of our Dutch oven here, And then we have cored our tomatoes. So we've got a hole in the middle where the core is. The core is tough, so you really don't want to eat that. There's no point. And we are going to take some of our pieces of our elephant garlic. Here you can see how huge those are. And we're going to put it directly in the middle of our tomato. And put it into our Dutch oven. And we are going to follow the same steps with the rest of our tomatoes. All right, so now I'm going to take a little bit of salt and just season our tomatoes a little bit. Make sure all of those really good flavors come out of our garlic and our tomatoes. Now we are going to put this on the egg. We're going to smoke these tomatoes for about 45 minutes, and then we're going to pull it off and let it rest, and then we're going to chop up the tomatoes and the garlic for our beautiful smoked tomato and garlic basil pasta sauce. All right, so now here's the fun part. I am going to show you guys how to roll out pasta by hand. This is some homemade pasta dough that I made yesterday. It's very simple. It's all-purpose flour, 4 whole eggs, salt, and extra virgin olive oil. Very, very, very simple. Pretty good arm workout too. So we're going to flour our dough mat, and these are actually available at shop.biggreenegg.com in our merch store if you would like to purchase one. They're great for rolling out pizza, pasta dough, pie dough, anything that you want. It's got measurements here. It's perfect. So we're going to give our pasta dough a little squeeze here and start rolling it out. Now we want this to be almost paper thin. So we want to be able to see this Big Green Egg dough mat riding through our pasta. So we are getting to a pretty good point with our pasta here. You can see that Big Green Egg sign right underneath our pasta dough. So we're getting there, and you want to make sure that you do this as thin as possible without it ripping. So we are starting to look really good here. So we're going to fold it. Now you could cut this into a rectangle if you want. Personally, I don't care if the noodles are different lengths. It makes it a little bit more homemade. So we're going to make sure that we're floured so our noodle dough does not stick together, and just lightly fold it over itself. Now we have our handy dandy Big Green Egg chef's knife, and we are going to lightly take this and rock it back and forth to make our fettuccine noodles. Now don't press too hard because you don't want to have the dough stick to itself. Beautiful. All right, so now I'll move this forward, and we're going to start unfolding our little noodles. Now you can see the ones on the end are a little bit shorter, and that's okay. We're going to do it in kind of this star pattern, making sure that nothing sticks. And this is going to make it easier for us to sprinkle with flour when we kind of ball this up into a little pile of love and noodles. And be gentle with it. Remember that these noodles are very thin, they're very delicate, and you know what? If you rip one, like I said, it doesn't really matter if they're all the same length. It really doesn't, because it's going to taste the same. And there you have it. Beautiful little pile of homemade noodles, and this is good for about a serving. You really don't need any more than that. Today we're using a pound of this, which is quite a bit of noodles. But this is all you need for one serving, one portion, and believe me, if you try this at home, it's going to knock your socks off. So while we are waiting on our tomatoes to smoke, let's get on to our tips from the expert today. Today we're going to talk about how to keep your stainless steel modular tables clean, as well as your acacia tables clean. Now this is not difficult. All you need to do is use a mild detergent like Dawn and a sponge and some water. Wipe everything down. If you want to get in these nooks and crannies, use a soft bristled brush to get into those nooks and crannies. And then for the stainless steel tables, you can use that soap, and if you see, you know, any other little cosmetic things that you don't like, you can use a stainless steel cleaner, and that'll give you a good bit of your shine. So that's very important. So that's it for our tips from the experts today. We are going to check on our tomatoes here. They are looking really good. They're smelling very, very fragrant, have a nice color on them. So we're gonna let those cook for about another 5 to 7 minutes, and we're gonna come back, chop them up, and we're gonna start on our beautiful pasta sauce. Our tomatoes have been smoking for about 45 minutes, so we are going to get our trusty pair of tongs here and pull our tomatoes and our garlic out. So we are going to start by putting about a half a cup of extra virgin olive oil into our pan and our crushed red pepper flakes. And we're going to add a little bit of salt to this mixture here, our black pepper. We're going to give that a little stir. Now, if you don't like spicy, you can use less crushed red pepper flakes. You can use more if you like it a little bit more spicy. All right, so that is looking good. We're going to shut our egg here for a second. Now we are going to take our tomatoes, give it a chop. We still want some of these kind of bigger pieces of tomato. This is not a red sauce. This is supposed to be more of a fresh kind of deconstructed red sauce, okay? So we're not looking to mix this together and make a thick paste. We want it to be a quick, fresh pasta sauce. We are going to open our egg here, and we are going to add our tomatoes and our garlic to our now chili oil. Give that a little stir. All right, so what I'm going to do now, because we don't want to really cook the tomatoes and the garlic any more than they are at this moment, our Dutch oven is already pretty hot, so it's going to continue cooking while it sits here. Put it on our wood board, shut our egg, and we are going to give this a few more little stirs here. Make sure that we get all of these flavors incorporated in this gorgeous sauce. Now we are going to add our fresh basil. I'm going to give this a stir and cook that for a minute. I wish that you guys were here just to smell this. It smells like Italy in the summertime. Now, trick of the trade, we're going to use our tablespoon of pasta water and add it to our sauce. This is going to help our pasta to adhere to our sauce. Give that a little stir there. Now, let's add our pasta. Now this is the fresh homemade pasta I showed you guys how to make earlier. And we are going to start tossing this pasta in our beautiful smoked tomato and garlic pasta sauce. Now that pasta water is really helping it adhere. You see how it's kind of sticking to all of the little curls and nooks and crannies in our pasta. You don't see a lot of it at the bottom of our pan here, and that's what we're going for. You want all of those flavors to be completely stuck to your pasta. So now that this is all mixed together, we're going to go ahead and plate this. Now this is enough for probably 4 people or so, so this is a really easy, good family meal. Now this would be great for a dinner party too. Pair it with some wine. You could put chicken in this if you'd like. You could even do kind of like a maybe brisket, like pulled apart brisket, if you have it left over, you make this dish what you want to make it. If you want protein in it, that's great. If you don't want to eat a bunch of meat, then leave it just as it is. We're going to add a lot of cheese to it as well. Fresh Parmesan cheese, of course. So that is my beautiful smoked tomato, garlic, and basil pasta. I hope that I've inspired you guys to try something new and different and exciting on your Big Green Egg at home. If you're not an egger yet, please head to biggreenegg.com where you can get online home delivery from a dealer in your community. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. See us next time when I have something special in store for you.
There's a place where fire and flavor are celebrated. Grill it, roast it, smoke it, or bake it. It's the most versatile grill you'll ever own. Have it delivered to your door by a certified dealer in your community and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience. Visit biggreenegg.com.